Some people smile at you, speak politely, and even appear supportive, but deep down, something feels off. You can't quite explain it, but your instincts pick up on subtle tension, forced compliments, or a strange discomfort that lingers after every interaction. According to Carl Jung, much of what we repress in ourselves, envy, anger, insecurity, gets projected onto others, often without awareness. This means that someone close to you might be silently struggling with feelings they won't express, but can't fully hide either. These feelings don't always come out in obvious ways. Instead, they leak through sarcasm, distant behavior, passive sabotage, or a cold reaction to your success. You may start questioning your own judgment, unsure if you're imagining things. But human behavior leaves clues, and the ability to observe and understand these patterns is a powerful tool for self-protection. In this video, we'll break down 8 subtle but clear signs that someone close to you may secretly resent or dislike you, despite pretending otherwise. These signs are rooted in psychological patterns and backed by real-life behavior you can watch for. Let's begin with the first sign, and why sarcasm is often more than just a joke. Sarcasm and hidden contempt. How hostility hides behind humor. In everyday interactions, some people use sarcasm not as a tool for humor, but as a mask for deeper, hidden resentment. This behavior is subtle, often overlooked, and can be emotionally draining if you're the target. While sarcasm is common in friendly banter, it becomes concerning when it consistently targets personal traits, vulnerabilities, or sensitive topics, especially when it's delivered by someone close to you. Imagine this: a friend regularly makes jokes about your job, your appearance, or your habits, topics they know matter to you. The jokes are always followed by a quick "I'm just kidding" or "don't take it so seriously." On the surface, it might seem like harmless teasing, but over time, these remarks leave you feeling uncomfortable, small, or even humiliated. This is not random humor. It's a repeated pattern that often reflects underlying contempt. According to psychologist Carl Jung, the shadow is the unconscious part of the personality that contains repressed weaknesses, desires, and instincts. When people are unwilling to face their own insecurities or negative emotions, they may project them onto others through passive-aggressive behavior. Sarcasm is one of the most socially acceptable ways to do this. It allows the speaker to express hostility while maintaining a cover of playfulness, making it hard to confront directly. Key signs to watch for include repetitive sarcasm about the same issue, a dismissive attitude when you express discomfort, and the use of humor to undermine your confidence. For instance, someone might frequently mock your achievements with comments like, "Wow, you're finally doing something with your life," while pretending to laugh. If the remarks consistently leave you feeling belittled rather than amused, pay attention. This could be a form of psychological erosion, slowly chipping away at your self-worth. This behavior is also manipulative because it places you in a double bind. If you react, you're too sensitive. If you stay silent, the cycle continues. Over time, this dynamic creates an imbalance in the relationship where the other person maintains power through humor that cuts deeper than it seems. From a practical standpoint, recognizing these patterns is the first step. Observe the frequency, tone, and emotional impact of sarcastic remarks. Ask yourself, do I feel respected after interactions with this person? Or do I leave feeling diminished? Trust your discomfort. It's often a signal your mind picks up before you can fully explain why something feels wrong. In relationships, whether personal or professional, respect must be mutual and consistent. Humor should uplift, not harm. When sarcasm becomes a tool to mask contempt, it's not just a personality quirk, it's a red flag. As Jung noted, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. In other words, if you don't recognize these hidden behaviors, they can quietly shape your self-esteem and relationships in harmful ways. Subtle sabotage, when hidden hostility masquerades as mistakes. Sometimes, the most damaging actions don't come in the form of open conflict. They appear as small, seemingly innocent mistakes. When someone close to you secretly harbors resentment, they may not confront you directly. Instead, they might engage in subtle sabotage, deliberate yet disguised efforts to hold you back while appearing supportive or indifferent. These behaviors are difficult to detect at first, but over time, patterns begin to emerge. Picture this: you're preparing for an important job interview. A friend you trust offers to help review your resume. They give vague, unhelpful suggestions, or worse, tell you it's fine when key details are clearly missing. Later, you find out they failed to forward an important email or left out information that could have helped you. When questioned, they respond with "I forgot," or "I didn't think it was important." One incident might be a genuine oversight, but when these situations repeat, especially during critical moments, you need to ask yourself if there's something deeper at play. According to Carl Jung, when individuals are unwilling to confront their own insecurities or feelings of inadequacy, they may project those feelings onto others. This often manifests through behavior that quietly undermines others' progress. The person doesn't attack you outright. They derail you through small disruptions like poor timing, half-hearted advice, or emotional withdrawal during your milestones. It's hostility hidden behind a mask of forgetfulness or passive indifference. Some common signs of subtle sabotage include consistently poor timing. They only make mistakes when it truly matters to you. Omitting key details. Important information is accidentally left out. Discouraging advice. They suggest paths that delay your growth or make you doubt your potential. Disruptive behavior at key moments, causing distractions, creating drama, or needing you just when you need focus. These actions can leave you second-guessing yourself, feeling unsupported, or questioning your own judgment. Worse, because the behavior is indirect, it's easy to dismiss it as coincidence or your own overthinking. This is exactly what makes subtle sabotage so psychologically harmful. It creates confusion rather than clarity. To protect yourself, focus on patterns, not excuses. Ask, do these accidents always happen during my high-stakes moments? Do they apologize and change, or do they deflect blame every time? If you're constantly cleaning up after their mistakes, it may not be unintentional. Jung noted that some people, unable to face their failures, seek to level the playing field by unconsciously holding others back. It helps them avoid confronting their own perceived inadequacy. In essence, they don't want you to succeed, not because they hate you, but because your success highlights what they haven't achieved. Recognizing subtle sabotage takes awareness, but once you see it clearly, you gain the power to set firmer boundaries. Surround yourself with people who consistently support your growth, not just with words, but through reliable actions. Trust isn't just about good intentions, it's about consistent, helpful behavior when it matters most. Silent competition, when support turns into a hidden rivalry. Not all forms of rivalry are loud or obvious. Some are silent, creeping into relationships where there should be trust and mutual respect. When someone close to you sees your success not as something to celebrate, but as a threat, it can lead to an unspoken and often unacknowledged competition. This kind of hidden rivalry is one of the most common, yet overlooked signs of underlying resentment. At first, it may seem harmless. You share some good news, a promotion, a creative project you've completed, or even a personal achievement like starting a new fitness routine. Instead of genuine encouragement, you get a lukewarm nice or a quick pivot. That reminds me of the time I did something similar. Over time, you start to notice a pattern. Every time you achieve something, they respond by highlighting their own success, or worse, downplaying yours. It might sound like, well, it's not that hard to get promoted in your field, or I've been doing that for years. The goal isn't to connect with you, it's to quietly one-up you. Psychologist Carl Jung explained that people often project their insecurities onto others. When someone feels inadequate, but doesn't want to confront those feelings, they may react to another's growth with subtle competitiveness. In many cases, this isn't planned or consciously malicious. It's a defensive reaction. Your progress becomes a mirror, reflecting back what they feel they lack. Instead of being inspired, they feel exposed. Key signs of silent competition include minimizing your success. They imply your wins are luck or not that impressive. Shifting attention. They redirect the spotlight to their own stories or struggles. Imitating your actions. After you achieve something, they quickly do something similar, but louder or faster. Disguised comparisons. I guess we're both doing well. but I'm more focused on quality than speed. The danger of silent competition is that it often masquerades as normal conversation. Without awareness, it can chip away at your self-esteem and make you doubt your accomplishments. You may begin to share less, subconsciously protecting your sense of worth. It's important to listen not just to the words, but to the energy behind them. Ask yourself, do I feel supported or subtly challenged? Do they celebrate me or do they compete with me? Over time, true friends create space for your growth. Competitors, even silent ones, make that space feel smaller. If you recognize this pattern, it doesn't always mean you need to cut ties, but it may mean adjusting how much personal progress you share or having a direct, honest conversation if the relationship matters to you. In the words of Jung, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves sometimes. Noticing silent competition in others helps us stay mindful of our own reactions and guard against becoming someone else's silent rival. Superficial support, when kindness hides emotional distance. Not all kindness is genuine. In some relationships, what looks like support on the surface is actually a carefully maintained facade. People who secretly resent you may still behave politely, even warmly, but when it truly matters, their presence disappears. This kind of apparent kindness masks emotional detachment. It is not openly hostile, which makes it harder to detect, but over time, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. You might notice it in key moments. You achieve something meaningful, getting into a top university, launching a business, or simply reaching a personal milestone, and they offer no more than a vague, dry good for you. There's no excitement in their voice, no real interest in your experience. Or perhaps during a tough time when you reach out for help or comfort, they're suddenly too busy, unavailable, or quick to change the subject. They might say, "You'll be fine," or "That's not a big deal," minimizing your emotions instead of offering actual support. According to Carl Jung, emotional detachment can be a form of ego defense. When people are internally disconnected either due to unresolved insecurities or emotional immaturity, they struggle to truly connect with others. This often leads to relationships where gestures of support exist, but the emotional substance is missing. They may act friendly in public, send a birthday text, or comment on your social media, but when life gets real, they vanish. You can often spot superficial support through inconsistent presence. They're only around during neutral times, not during your highs or lows. Forced enthusiasm. Their praise sounds hollow, as if they're going through the motions. Deflecting attention. When you talk about something important, they quickly shift the focus to themselves or dismiss your news. Emotional flatness. Their tone and body language lack warmth, even when words sound polite. Over time, these behaviors wear on you. You may find yourself questioning whether you're asking too much when in fact, you're asking for the bare minimum genuine human connection. What's more harmful is the confusion this dynamic creates. Because the person appears nice, you feel guilty for sensing distance or indifference. That self-doubt is part of the damage. One practical strategy is to observe emotional consistency, not just social gestures. Ask, is this person present when I really need them? Do they seem emotionally invested or just polite? Over time, true support reveals itself through reliability, empathy, and shared emotional experience, not empty words or rehearsed reactions. As Jung noted, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. If your interactions consistently leave you feeling unchanged, unsupported, or alone, the relationship may be emotionally hollow. Recognizing superficial support allows you to protect your energy and invest it in people who show up genuinely, fully, and consistently. Control disguised as care. When help becomes a hidden form of domination, one of the most deceptive forms of hostility comes disguised as concern. It can be difficult to spot, especially when it comes from someone close to you, someone who claims to care, but whose actions gradually undermine your autonomy. This behavior presents itself as helpful advice, protective guidance, or looking out for your best interest, but in reality, it's a subtle form of control. What makes it dangerous is that it often appears kind and loving, while quietly eroding your confidence and independence. Consider someone who constantly questions your decisions. Are you sure that job is right for you? or I don't think that relationship is good for you. At first, it might seem like concern, but over time, the pattern becomes clear. Their input always leaves you doubting yourself. They may discourage you from taking risks, delay your progress with excessive warnings, or criticize your choices under the pretense of just trying to help. Their language often carries a tone of authority, positioning themselves as more experienced, wiser, or morally superior. According to Carl Jung, the drive to control others can stem from a deep inner fear of chaos or inadequacy. People who cannot manage their own internal uncertainty may try to impose structure on others' lives to avoid confronting their own emotional instability. In this way, control becomes a coping mechanism, not just for power, but for personal reassurance. You can identify this disguised control through a few key signs. Persistent doubt casting. They regularly make you question your own judgment. Conditional support. Their approval is only given when you follow their advice. Undermining your independence. They subtly suggest you're incapable without them. Emotional manipulation. If you resist their guidance, they act hurt or disappointed to guilt you into compliance. These individuals may say, "I'm only doing this because I care," but true care empowers. It doesn't restrict. If you start to feel smaller, less sure of yourself, or overly reliant on their input, something is off. This kind of control is rarely loud or aggressive. It's slow and quiet, often unnoticed until you find yourself doubting every decision and seeking their validation for choices you once made confidently. To protect yourself, it's essential to distinguish between genuine support and emotional dependency masked as help. Ask, does this person celebrate my independent choices, even when they disagree? Or do they always need to have the final say? True supporters trust your ability to lead your own life. Controllers, on the other hand, disguise fear and insecurity as guidance. Jung emphasized that power over others is weakness disguised as strength. The one who must dominate is often the one who feels most vulnerable inside. When care becomes a tool to control, it's no longer love. It's about fear, masked in concern. Recognizing this subtle behavior allows you to reclaim your agency and set clear emotional boundaries. Real care supports growth. Anything else is manipulation with a friendly face. Indirect attacks. How gossip and criticism signal hidden resentment. One of the clearest signs of hidden hostility is not confrontation, but what people say when you're not around. When someone harbors resentment, but lacks the courage or emotional maturity to address it openly, they may turn to gossip and behind-the-back criticism. This behavior is indirect, often passive-aggressive, and typically disguised as venting, concern, or just being honest. But the impact is no less harmful, because it quietly damages your reputation, distorts how others see you, and erodes your relationships from the shadows. People who engage in this behavior may appear polite or even warm in person. They smile, make conversation, and act as though everything is fine. But behind closed doors, they plant doubts in others' minds. They might say things like, "I worry about her decisions lately," or "He's not as reliable as he used to be," cloaking criticism and false concern. Over time, this kind of talk shapes the way others perceive you, even if nothing negative was said to your face. Carl Jung noted that when individuals are unwilling to face their own emotional discomfort, they may project it onto others as a way of coping. Gossip often serves this purpose. By pointing out perceived flaws in someone else, the speaker avoids dealing with their own insecurity, jealousy, or frustration. In reality, they are not describing you, they are revealing themselves. Key warning signs of this behavior include shifting social dynamics. Friends or colleagues suddenly act distant without explanation. Subtle reputation damage. You hear secondhand comments that misrepresent your words, actions, or intentions. Two-faced interactions. Someone treats you kindly in private, but criticizes you in other circles. Frequent concern talk. They bring up your name often, not to support you, but to question your character or choices. This behavior is especially dangerous in close relationships or workplace settings, where trust is essential, because it's done in secret. You may not realize the damage until it's already affected how others treat you. You might feel blindsided by someone's coldness or excluded from group conversations, unsure why the shift occurred. The best way to protect yourself is to observe patterns. Ask, is this person consistent in their behavior toward others? Do they often talk negatively about people who aren't present? If so, it's only a matter of time before you're the subject of their next conversation. Jung wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." When someone talks behind your back, it may be more about their own inner conflict than anything you've done. But that doesn't make it acceptable. Setting boundaries with chronic gossipers is critical. Limit how much personal information you share and consider confronting the behavior directly. If it feels safe, surround yourself with people who speak to you, not about you. In the end, genuine relationships are built on transparency, not whispers. When success breeds resentment, the hidden cost of achievement, not everyone will be happy when you succeed. Sometimes, the people you expect to cheer for you the loudest respond with discomfort, coldness, or subtle irritation instead. This reaction often stems from unspoken resentment, a quiet, internal conflict triggered by your achievements. While true friends feel joy when you grow, those who carry unresolved insecurities may feel your success highlights their own perceived shortcomings. Rather than celebrate you, they shut down, shift the focus, or find ways to minimize your progress. You might notice this pattern when you share something important, a promotion, a personal goal you've reached, or even a meaningful life change. Instead of enthusiasm, you're met with a flat "oh, cool," or a quick redirect. "That reminds me, I just bought a new car too." The shift in energy is subtle but clear. There's no shared excitement, no effort to ask follow-up questions, and often, no genuine eye contact. You leave the conversation feeling strangely deflated, even though you were the one with good news. According to Carl Jung, people who cannot integrate their shadow, the hidden, denied parts of themselves, often project those feelings onto others. In this case, your success becomes a painful mirror. It forces them to confront what they haven't achieved or what they wish they had done differently. Rather than process those feelings constructively, they react by minimizing you. It's easier to say, "That's not a big deal," or "I've done that before," than to admit, "I feel left behind." You can recognize this kind of hidden resentment through downplayed reactions, minimal enthusiasm, flat tone, or fake smiles. Competitive responses, immediately bringing up their own successes in return. Avoidance or withdrawal, they distance themselves during your high points. Backhanded compliments, comments that sound supportive but subtly undermine you, e.g., "Good for you, must be nice to have that kind of luck." What makes this behavior especially hard to deal with is the emotional confusion it creates. You expect support, but get indifference. You want to share joy, but feel judged. And because the resentment isn't always expressed directly, you may start to question whether it's real or just in your head. To protect your mental space, pay attention to consistency. Ask, are they genuinely happy for others, or do they always turn the spotlight on themselves? Do they support me only when I'm struggling, but vanish when I thrive? These patterns reveal far more than any single conversation. As Jung observed, the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. Your growth may unintentionally trigger someone else's unresolved pain, but that's not your burden to carry. True connection includes both compassion in hard times and celebration in good ones. In time, you may need to limit how much of your progress you share with people who cannot handle it. Your success deserves space to breathe, preferably among those who clap when you win, not compete, compare, or quietly resent you for it. What the body can't hide. Nonverbal signs of hidden hostility. When someone harbors negative feelings toward you, but tries to conceal them. Their words might be polite, even warm, but their body language often tells a different story. Human communication is not just verbal. Much of it happens through unconscious gestures, facial expressions, posture, and tone. When someone's outward behavior doesn't match their inner state, the body often betrays what the mind tries to hide. You may have experienced this. You're sharing good news, and the person you're speaking to says the right words, "Congratulations," or "That's great," but something feels off. Their smile looks forced. Their eyes avoid yours. Their voice lacks energy. Or maybe, when you walk into the room, their expression momentarily tightens before they compose themselves. These brief signals are easy to overlook, but your brain registers them. That uneasy feeling you get in your gut, It's your intuition responding to these subtle cues. Psychologist Carl Jung emphasized that the unconscious never lies. While someone may be able to control their speech, they rarely have full control over the involuntary microsignals their body emits. Tension in the jaw, stiffness in posture, crossed arms, fidgeting, or a sudden pause in conversation. These are all potential indicators of underlying discomfort or suppressed emotion. Common nonverbal signs of hidden resentment include lack of genuine eye contact. Their gaze drifts or avoids you during key moments. Inconsistent facial expressions. Their smile doesn't reach their eyes or fades quickly. Tension in the body. Their shoulders are rigid or their hands clench subtly when you speak. Changes in tone. Compliments are delivered in a flat or slightly strained voice. Sudden silences. Moments where the mood shifts abruptly for no clear reason. The danger lies in dismissing these signs. In many cases, people are taught to prioritize spoken words and ignore instinct. But when the verbal and nonverbal don't align, it's usually the nonverbal that reveals the truth. This is especially important when dealing with someone who consistently leaves you feeling uneasy, even though they appear friendly on the surface. Trusting your intuition in these moments is critical. If your body reacts, tension, unease, or a sudden drop in energy, it's likely responding to subtle hostility or emotional incongruence. Over time, consistently ignoring these signs can erode your confidence. As you begin to doubt your perception, to protect your well-being, observe patterns. Ask yourself, do I often feel uncomfortable after speaking with this person? Even if nothing wrong was said, are their words supportive, but their tone or expressions suggest otherwise? Paying attention to how someone makes you feel, not just what they say, can help you detect emotional dishonesty early. In Jung's words, you meet yourself and others. When someone's body reveals resentment, they are often projecting parts of themselves they can't face. Recognizing this can help you step back, trust your instincts, and choose relationships that align in both word and presence.